Well, if we're gonna find any ghosts, we better split up.
You're listening to Never Split Up, a horror movie podcast.
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Never Split Up podcast. Happy to be here with my co-host Anthony. I'm Nolan, and today is episode 56. We're covering the original Salem's Lot. This episode is going to be released right before the remake Salem's Lot, released in 2024, but we're covering the OG, released in 1970... What was it again? 1979. Thank you. How you doing today? I know this is a big episode for you.
Yeah, this is a huge one. This is a biggie for me, so I'm very excited.
Loyal listeners of the podcast will know that Anthony has kind of touched on the fact, especially I think in our last episode on covering Dracula, which, by the way, everyone go check out. I think it was a really fun episode. It came out really well. And, yeah, I'm proud of that episode. But you mentioned that Salem's Lot is up there for you, especially for vampire movies, and it might be your number one vampire movie. Is that correct?
That is correct. I mean, this movie, this movie is very nostalgic for me. It's the second horror movie I was ever shown at the age of 4. So Jaws, my grandpa showed me Jaws when I was 3, and then Salem's Lot was the next one up at 4. So you don't get more nostalgic than that. So this one is probably one of the most important movie/miniseries of all time for me. So it's going to be very interesting to get into this one. But yeah, it's my top dog for vampires. They don't get scarier than this movie.
That's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool duality for your first two movies. A summer blockbuster like Jaws, and then the, the creepy, spooky, epic flick like Salem's Lot, 3-hour drawn-out epic. That's pretty cool for your first two.
My grandpa had some taste. He had some taste, so...
4 years old. I'm surprised you even have memories of sitting down and watching that.
Well, we'll get to it, but there's some sequences that terrified, were ingrained into my brain. Nightmares nonstop. All thanks to Grandpa.
Well, while we're on that topic, I just want to give a disclaimer. I did not grow up watching this movie. I've seen this movie maybe a couple times, not counting my rewatch this week. I didn't see it as a little kid, so I think I look at it in a different light, obviously, than someone who watched it when they were 4 years old and has those vivid memories that probably generated countless nightmares for you. So that's kind of where we're at. We've never really... I know how important this movie is to you, but we haven't really talked about this movie together, so I'm excited to kind of dive into it and see what you love about it, what makes you go back to it, because it's a doozy, and it's not really like a super tight slasher where you can just throw on and it's super rewatchable. It's a long movie. I believe it was a TV miniseries in the U.S., correct?
Correct, yeah. It was a 2-night event. They were going to have it... They wanted it released theatrically, but it's a Stephen King adaptation, and they wanted to fit everything in, so they're like, let's just not cut it. Let's just have it a 2-night event, build the characters up, get the story in. So yeah, in the U.S., it was released on TV. It was a huge success on CBS, and then overseas they did, I think they edited it and they made it a theatrical release. But yeah, You are correct. So
now, have you seen the edited version, theatrical release?
No,
you haven't seen that. Okay,
I have the Blu-ray, but it is just put together. They just put together the.
That'd be cool if they gave you both versions, just to kind of compare the two.
Yeah, but I think we'll get to it. But one of its strengths is that it does build up the characters and the richness, and you feel the vibe of Salem's Lot, the town, before it goes all horror crazy. That, in my opinion, I think it's a plus. But yeah, this is gonna be interesting because this is so important to me. This movie, it's crazy.
Yeah, we were talking right before I hit record, and I kind of told Anthony, I'm going to let you take the lead on this one because this movie means so much to you, and there's just so much to cover. And we try to not have marathon episodes when we can.
Right.
So I'm going to let Ant kind of drive the conversation, and we'll talk about what he wants to talk about and what's important to him with this movie. And we'll just kind of go through it, and I'm excited to kind of dive in. It's a big movie. You don't know my thoughts. I've kind of kept my cards close. So
yeah.
I guess here we go. Anything to talk about before we get into this movie?
I agree with you about Dracula. I'm really proud of that episode. I think it's fitting that we started our little 3-week vampire coverage with the OG.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you guys check that one out. It's very, very, very good episode. We get into why it means so much to cinema and pretty much why we're sitting here doing what we're doing now. Again, if you guys didn't check out our return episode, Immaculate, it did very well. Let us know what you think about that one. Check it out. But yeah, we're in the thick of spooky season, and we have some great stuff planned, so stick around with us.
Okay, great. And thanks everyone for voting in our most recent Never Split Up polls. We will announce who won when we get to the end of this episode and we talk about our moments from this movie. So thanks.
There's a lot of moments in this movie.
Yes, there is. A lot of characters, which means a lot of moments.
Yeah, Tobe Hooper, you guys know, he directed the OG Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He also obviously directed the sequel, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. He did The Funhouse. I don't know, we never talked about The Funhouse either, but we'll have to talk about that one day. The Funhouse, Poltergeist. He was the director of Poltergeist, not Steven Spielberg, guys. It was him. So he's a horror legend, this guy.
Yeah.
So he took the reins of this one, and goddamn, did he just fucking kill it with the fucking atmosphere in this movie. So yeah, he's a horror legend, you guys, and everyone who's watching this podcast, you know who Tobe Hooper is, so he's the director of this movie. Came out in 1979, like Nolan said. It was a two-night ultimate miniseries event. It was a huge success when it came out. The cast, we have the lovely David Soul. He stars in this movie. Unfortunately, he did pass away the beginning of this year, so rest in peace. You killed it in this movie. I'm not going to go through the entire cast. Probably when we go through the movie a little bit, we'll probably just pick and choose the characters as we go, because this is a huge epic movie, like Nolan says, so there's a lot of cast members, but I'll just highlight David Soul stars as Ben Mears. He's the lead. Lance Kerwin is Mark, the main kid in the movie. James Mason is a Straker, so he's a very big role. So those are the 3 main characters, and we just have a shit ton of supporting characters that are just so good. Jeffrey Lewis is in this, Juliette Lewis's dad. There's so many good characters in this movie. So yeah, I'm just excited to get into... Well, I really would just want to know what you think about it. But yeah, I'm really excited to get into it.
Yeah. Okay. So here we go. Who wants to go first? Do you want me to go first?
What do you want?
Overall thoughts.
I feel like I've been going first a bit, so let's hear it. I don't know, rip the Band-Aid off. I'm nervous because this is
okay. Okay.
Well, I think it's important again that you said that we're both coming at it from different perspectives. I was literally a little kid when I saw this, so it terrified me and it means so much to me. You watched it, I don't know how old, but obviously you were old. I don't know if you're a teenager or adult, but it's gonna mean something different to you than me, so it's just 2 different perspectives, which is good to have on the podcast. So anyway, rip it off. Let's go.
No, I mean, I just want to say the reason we've kind of switched, we used to just give our overall thoughts, and we switched it to, we also added whether we recommend a movie or not. And we did that for, we found that a lot of our listeners will listen to episodes without watching the movie, which is fine. We recommend watching the movie first, but that's awesome 100%. Too, because I've heard from people, your episode made me watch the movie. So that's awesome too. So the reason we started this little segment where we recommend or not is to kind of give a shout out to those listeners. So in that context, if you've never seen this movie before and you're listening, I hate to say it, Ant, but I don't think I can really strongly recommend this movie. It's not for everyone, especially people that didn't grow up with it. And it really has nothing to do with, the fact that it's older, 1979. Of course, it's going to have dated effects and stuff. I mean, gosh, we just talked about Dracula from 1931 and we just ranted and raved about it. So it's not that I can't appreciate an older movie, and I don't think people could appreciate an older movie. It's I hate to say it, but you said it's a strong point. It's very boring at times. It drags a lot for me, and it's 3 hours. I don't mind a 3 hour movie, but especially in horror, if you're gonna make a movie that long, it needs to be, in a sense, epic. And to me, it just doesn't reach those epic levels. Now, it does do things right. So, if you like a really slow burn and you want to like kind of just cozy up and meet these new characters that live in Salem's Lot, and meet Ben, who's the newbie, and kind of invest yourself in the story. Yeah, it does have a good build up, because by the time you get to the second half of this movie and, the last half hour or so, it's just crazy. It's almost nonstop once Barlow shows up. There is a payoff there. I just don't think the payoff is good enough to justify how long and slow of a burn it is, especially in the first half. So, I'm a big vampire guy. I still get some things out of this movie. I don't think it's a total waste of time, but it's definitely not a movie that is rewatchable for me, unfortunately. Just because of how long it is and how drawn out it is, I can't see myself rewatching this many times over. So, in that sense, I really can't give it a strong recommendation. And I'd be curious to watch the theatrical cut, because maybe that it kind of cuts out some of the filler. But also on the flip side, and I hate to sound like I'm kind of contradicting myself, when you do get to the end, you're really rooting for Ben. I mean, Ben carries this movie for me. I don't know about for you.
David Soul, man.
Yeah, he is the heart and soul of this movie, and you really feel for him going through it. And I just wish they utilized him more. It felt like the whole first half of the movie for me, he was kind of in limbo. He didn't know what was going on. He was kind of still just writing a book. He wasn't really into that like super hardcore, okay, there's vampires here, let me investigate it, until like the last maybe hour of the movie. So I wish that happened throughout the movie more, and he wasn't so disconnected from everything else going on, if that makes sense. But yeah, he's awesome. And, part of why this movie works somewhat for me is because you kind of fall for Ben, and he's a hero at the end. He really is. He's a hero.
This is going to be fascinating when we cover the new movie, because I think that one is like under 2 hours. So I think this is going to be very interesting the next 2 weeks. So I'm excited.
I'm really curious to see how they tackle this and get it under 2 hours, because like you said, there is so much material that the original covered. So it's one thing to adapt from a book. People realize that when you go from a book to a movie that you're going to cut some stuff out. But now you're remaking a movie, not just the book, but the movie. And the movie didn't cut a lot out, from what I understand. So it's going to be interesting to see how fans of the original, like yourself, react to this new one. And I can't wait to cover that with you.
I'm very excited. I think it might lead to us having maybe a flip-flops. I'm rooting for the, obviously.
There's no way. It sounds like there's no way you're going to like it more than the original. And there's a good chance that I'm probably going to like it more than the original.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, it's going to be the flip next week. But it's just fascinating. But yeah, this is going to be fun. This
stake through the heart, right?
It is a stake through the heart. And so you're like like a half recommend, or
yeah, that's the thing. It's a well-made movie. It's not a piece of garbage. It's a well-made movie. It's got good performances. It looks great for the time. You could tell that they had a decent budget. Some of the directing shots from Hooper are great. So I can't totally shit on it. It's just not the most exciting. Especially, I can't imagine watching this for the first time ever as an adult and really getting a lot out of it. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I will say, to Nolan's point, it is a slow movie, and I think I think it's its strength that it's slow, and I think that the first half, when you talked about Ben Mears, I think it's really focused on building up the town and getting a feel for the townspeople before some of them are turned into vampires. So I think it takes its time and makes us feel like a part of Salem's Lot, the town. I do think that's a strength, and I am someone who isn't against having a slow horror movie that has these little moments of tension. And I think that this movie's strength is I get so much anxiety in this movie with waiting for something to happen and the buildup of tension. So I think that it being slow is part of its strength because it makes me terrified for when something's gonna happen. I get chills when I still watch it. When I wait, I'm like, oh my god, something's gonna happen. What's it gonna happen? So I think it's a masterclass in suspense, this movie. And again, I will admit that the first time I saw this, I mean, I was a baby. I was a little boy. And I just will never forget when my grandpa put it on the TV and the scene when the fucking little boy, Henry, fucking knocks on that window. I was like, this is the scariest shit I've ever seen in my life. I couldn't fucking sleep in front of a window after watching this as a kid because it terrified me, thinking I was going to look up and see a vampire like scratching at my window saying let me in. I mean, this is iconic vampire shit. So I do think you didn't touch on the vampires yet, but I think the actual vampires in the movie are like the scariest I've ever seen a vampire portrayal be, whether it be Barlow or the townspeople. I think all the actors did amazing in creating like terrifying vampires. Not like these, obviously not like Twilight or like vampires who are too. Again, I loved Dracula less. I love Bela Lugosi, but it's not scary. It's more he's like a evil charming. Like these are actual terrifying vampires that they want to fucking kill you and suck your blood. And the effects with the eyes, they're all terrifying. Even my second favorite vampire movie is 30 Days a Night, and we covered that movie, guys. Check that one out. They're just more vicious and quick, and I think that movie brought scary vampires back, but it doesn't even compare to this one. They're just like slow, creepy, methodical. They want to manipulate you, and it's just that they just terrify me. They terrify me. But yeah, so this movie as a kid terrified the shit out of me. And I still think that, in my opinion, it does hold up. And I just think that it's a great story. Like, it just has so much atmosphere. I don't know if any other vampire movie, to me, has the same atmosphere as this movie, where you just feel like this town is just getting corroded and manipulated by this Straker guy who just wants to turn it completely on its head and just get run over by vampires. Yeah, this movie is one of the greats for me. It's the second horror movie I've ever seen, so it's gonna be nostalgic for me, and it's an all-timer for me. So I highly recommend it, but don't go in it expecting, a 2020, nonstop slaughterfest vampire movie. It's slow, methodical, and its main goal is to get you on edge and to build up tension and to build up that suspense and have those moments of terror. And, it doesn't like Barlow's only in like maybe 8 minutes of screen time, but every time he's on screen, it counts. I mean, guys, I literally have the whole tattoo on me. This is a great for me. This is an all-timer. So I'm very excited to get into it a little bit more.
I'm really glad that you brought it up first and you highlighted this in your overall thoughts, the tension and the build up in terms of, like, I think you said watching Salem's Lot kind of corrode away and you get anxiety waiting for something to happen. I'm glad you brought it up because that's probably, if I'm looking at this movie, my biggest issue. I don't get that at all. I wish there was more of it because then I would appreciate the slow burn. If I'm feeling those feelings while we're going along for the ride, that's cool with me. I just don't think it, does enough for me. Barlow, shows up at the very end, which I'm sure for you is a strength, but we don't feel him in the town.
Really?
especially, he comes through, customs, whatever, goes to the dock and they bring him to the house. You still don't get that feeling that he's like always watching. I mean,
really?
I call back to Halloween, the greatest horror film ever, and how Michael is always like, you think he's always watching. I don't get that with this.
Really?
And maybe it's because I didn't watch this as a little boy and, get that anxiety. I watched it as an older person. I don't get those emotions. So you have to kind of frame it and try to frame it to where I'm coming from. Because if you're not feeling that, then there's not a lot there. You just have these people. Like, I forget I'm watching a vampire horror movie at times when I'm watching this movie.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it's just not there for me. Yeah,
because then to me, the flip side, I'm like only thinking about the vampires are lurking in the back. Like, it's terrible. Like, when are they going to come out? Like, to me, that's so interesting to me. And I think the scene when the two men, they put the crate in the house in the basement, I'm just fucking on it. I'm so on edge. I'm like, is he going to break out? Where they're going to get caught? They're going to get killed. It's terrifying. I'm still scared of this movie.
No, that sequence is great. I like sequences of this movie.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to shit on the whole movie, but the overall feeling, I don't get that the whole way through like you do.
Gotcha.
Is kind of my point.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm probably in the minority for people that grew up watching this movie and love this movie. I mean, this movie is adored. It's got great reception from the critics, and a ton of people love this movie, and I think Salem's Lot that comes out next week is going to do well. And it's not in theaters; it's going to do well on streaming because it's a Stephen King property, and people do adore the original. So I understand that I'm not in the majority here for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely considered this one. It's definitely considered like a cult classic. So it's going to be very interesting to see. Like, I guess the people like me who adore it versus you who are like, let's see what's
I kind of saw that. I call this. I don't know if you saw the recent The Crow movie. I feel like I didn't either. I haven't seen anything this year.
Did you see so bad. You've seen the original, right?
I've seen the original, but I've kind of seen that discourse with the new Crow where people who like are upset because they talk about a cult classic. There are people that literally follow that movie like a cult. They hate the new movie. And they think it's like an abomination because it's so probably for different reasons, hopefully, than this adaptation will be, because the Crow remake looks very different than the original, which I kind of appreciate that they went with a different tone. But the Crow purists are like ragging on it. And then I also see people who aren't like super fans actually appreciate the new one and say, it's a different take on the story. So it might be one of those things where, people like me kind of can appreciate it for what it is, and people like you just are going to compare it to the original, which is kind of not fair,
Well, what I will say is, I mean, I have seen that discourse. Can't speak to the new movie's quality, The Crow, but I do say no matter what, people just don't don't bash on a movie without seeing it. And I have a feeling even before that movie came out, people were going into it wanting to hate it. Mm-hmm. And I'm the opposite with Salem's Lot. I'm going into the new one wanting to be if you're 50% as atmospheric as this original, then I will be a happy person. Yeah. But I just, from the trailer alone, I don't want to get too much in the new one. We're going to cover it next week. But the trailer alone, I'm like, oh, VFX overload. Yeah. chill out. Let's keep it creepy and real. What do you? We're gonna jump around because I'm just so fascinated to have how you received it versus I did, and I do know that I came at it as a 4-year-old kid, but when I watched it as an adult, I'm still creeped out. I don't know if it's because I'm brought back to those memories.
It definitely has something to do with that for sure. But I think
overall, I still think it's a quality movie. When I just take my mindset, if I try to turn it off and be just watch it try to be a critic. I do think it's a well constructed adaptation of a novel. Overall, but what do you think of? You didn't really do you think the vampires look and act scary? They're fucking awesome vampires. What do you think about the actual vampires? They're scary as fuck.
Objectively. When I heard you talking about them, let's put Barlow aside because he's fucking the GOAT. I mean, he's creepy as fuck. I'm not going to say that he's not creepy.
Terrifying.
I mean, he is the epitome of terrifying. I mean, you show a picture to a little kid of him, and they'll fucking have
you'll
nightmares
cry.
for weeks.
They'll cry. And I love that.
So kudos to the whole team for constructing that image of him, and the fangs in the front. I mean, everything is just awesome. I mean, he's the best part of the movie by far for me. I mean,
okay, so you'll say that
he's the reason he's only got what you said 8 minutes of screen time, but he's the face of the movie. I mean, that tells a lot, of how good.
So you got the heebie-jeebies from him, though, at least, like
for sure.
Okay,
the others, I understand what you're saying. They are creepy. Kind of objectively, but subjectively, because I don't have that overall tension, I kind of just watch it straightforward, and I don't get that build up. I don't know.
Okay.
There were some that were better than others. The kid doesn't do it for me. The kid in the window. I'm sorry. I just it's the kid's like laughing the whole time. I don't think it's creepy. I know that's an iconic scene when he's in the window for the first time, and it's scarred thousands of little boys that are now our age, and even older since the 70s.
Yeah.
So, but it's just it didn't do it for me because I didn't watch this as a little boy. So I think that was kind of corny, a little cheesy.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Terrifying. That's the every sequence of the window boys.
I kind of agree with you, though. I don't think movies do this enough. Movies do this enough to get the like the ghoulish, creepy, slow vampires that just want to kind of seduce you and suck your blood. I don't think that's done enough, so I appreciate that version of vampires. Right. And I don't think they're bad. I just don't get the heebie-jeebies from them like I do from Barlow.
Okay. Juliette Lewis's dad also did great. He's the one who's in the rocking chair. When the guy who's like the old man who's like having heart issues goes up, I think that scene, like his movements when he gets out of the chair, I'm like, this is fucking creeping me the fuck out. Leave this old man alone, please. I remember like when going back to when I was like 4, every time the old man was like walking towards a door, I would like fucking dread when he's opening the door because I have to see this scary scene as a little kid. So again, like this is where I'm coming at it from, but I just can't think of any other vampires that like these characters stick in my mind, and I'm like, these are fucking scary as hell. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's just fascinating how it's just you don't take away the same.
I'm jealous, man. I'm jealous. I wish I felt the same way because I know what you're talking about when you're talking about these vampires. I see the scenes in my head, and I'm like, damn, that'd be cool if that creeped me out too. But I really wish I had someone that showed me this movie when I was really young because I'd probably be right there with you,
And it's not even the like vampires alone. I'm gonna go back to the build up, like whatever Juliette Lewis's dad's character's name is in the movie. Again, there's so many characters in this movie, so I'm sorry. I think his name is Mike Ryerson. When he's trying to bury the casket for Danny after Danny's brother ends up killing him, and he like. Something comes over him and he jumps down in the casket. I'm like, the suspense. I'm like, oh my god, why did he jump down in there? I'm like, this is freaking me the fuck out. And then when he opens it and you just see Danny just there with the eyes, I'm like, fucking get chills. And I think it's just all to me, like this movie is just masterful in the build up. So like, I like how it doesn't just do like a, I'm really hoping that like next week when we watch this new movie that it's not just like jump scare. But I just don't want a jump. I love The Conjuring, but I don't want a jump scare fest. I think the part of this movie's charm is that it's actually just wanting to scare you with the tension, not just a cheap pop out. There's a couple pop outs, but it's really just about the build up and the tension and the characters and scenes like that. When he just jumps down, you're just he's gonna open that fucking coffin, and nothing pops out. He just opens it, and then you just see the kid laying there, and then he just gets up and bites him. And even the window, I mean, I don't know how you don't think the window scenes are effective, but when they're fucking the kids like coming up to the window, I'm like, this is fucking scary as fuck. And he's just like, hey, let me in. I'm like, oh god, no, don't do it. So I just think this movie is just, it's not worried about scaring you cheap scares. It's just it wants you to feel like you're in that particular situation and like what would you do, there's a fucking vampire in front of you, and it's just building up all this tension. And I do think that it does justify its runtime because, like I keep saying, there's so many characters that I can't keep track. But I do think that we spend enough time with each family and each character in each setting to kind of feel a little bit invested before the spooky shit happens. So I think you differ on that, but I actually like that we kind of just get a feel for what the daily routine is in this town. I mean, we have the whole subplot with, a woman who's cheating on her husband. I think that's fucking like hilarious that we have that whole subplot, but it just brings us all like familiar with the relationships and how everyone's intertwined with each other. So I think it is necessary. And I hope the new movie does take its time to at least like establish the characters before getting to the heebie-jeebies.
Well, I don't know if you know this answer, but when they originally aired this, is there like a scene where they left off? Did
Yes.
they air this like back-to-back nights? Like, where did that movie cut?
I'll tell you exactly where it cut.
Yeah.
So I believe the first episode, or whatever, I hate episode because this is a movie in my opinion. The first event was like the week before Thanksgiving or so, and the next one was like the week after. But they ended off, which was with the scene I just discussed, when Mike is burying Danny, like he's putting the dirt on the, so when he jumps down in the coffin, opens it, and when Danny pops up to bite him, that's where the first night concluded, and then it picked up after that.
Okay, and then is that pretty much right at the halfway point, like an hour and a half?
Yeah.
Or okay.
Yeah, it's pretty split, pretty evenly well. So I think obviously that I also think that's a good cliffhanger to end on. So I think they knew what they were doing marketing wise to bring people back in. But I do think like overall that was a good place to end it right there, because then when you come back, it's pretty much pedal to the metal for the most part.
See, now framing this movie as a 2-part event kind of makes it better for me, because I could put myself back in 1979 and watching the first half of this movie and how it's just all characters and introducing the town, and you get little tidbits, and then you end with the coffin scene. I can feel the anticipation of waiting for the next part of this story, and people having to wait a week or 2 weeks and then watching the last half must have been really cool, and must have been a pretty cool experience.
So, question. So if you split it, because pretty much if you split it, the first part is character development and build up, end on that cliffhanger. And the second part is, David Soul realizing, oh my god, they're vampires, we have to stop this. And then it's pretty much all, I want to say action, but you know what I mean. When I say action, it's all, vampire action, horror sequences.
Everything,
the second half.
I would describe it as everything starts coming together and starts connecting, because everything felt separate. Like you said, there was different storylines that were all being intertwined, and then the second half, they all started to kind of mesh together.
So as a whole, you think it's a little too slow and sloppy, but if you split it up, like how I just said that ended, I wonder if you would appreciate it more. Like if you just took one night to do that, and then the next night to like do the second half, the crazy shit.
I understand why they did it as in a 2-part event. I'll say that. I don't think that the first half of the movie is a good movie in itself. That's not what I'm saying, because it is the weaker half of the two for me. So I all I'm kind of saying is it kind of frames it a little bit better when I think about this movie, that it was
in that context
a 2-parter, and that if it was going to go to movies, to theaters, it wasn't going to be this format. It was going to be edited down slightly. So the fact that it was in a different format kind of makes me give it a break a little bit, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, again, guys, so this is going to come down to, if you're up for like a 3-hour epic that's not just concerned with getting to the next scare, it wants you to be intertwined with the town, versus, a nonstop, if you want a Conjuring-esque jump scare vampire movie fest. So again, I'm not saying this is the ultimate like scare fest, but it does make me feel like, I don't know, it makes me feel cozy, and like I want to get under a blanket and watch this movie. I feel the chill just from watching the movie. Like I feel the chill in the air. I want to get to characters though, because we have a few to go through. I guess we should start with Ben Mears, David Soul. So you are a fan. You thought he killed it, knocked it out of the park.
Yes, big fan.
Love him.
He's a great leading man for this movie, for sure.
He carried the movie, and I hope that Lewis Pullman is up to the task to take on the mantle of this character. When the new movie comes out next week. So that's a big deal because this guy, I mean, he's known for this role. Besides his music career, this is like his acting, this is his acting role. So, all right, what about Straker? I think he's a cool character.
Yeah, he's a cool character. He
too hokey? You think he's too? I think he's the perfect amount of creepy and menacing.
No, I'm trying to verbalize how I feel about him. Again, it's not with his character. It's just kind of the way they kind of set everything up.
Mm-hmm.
If they would have given us more shots of him at the house, maybe Ben investigating the first half of the movie. I know he's watching the house, but he's not really like hardcore investigating yet. Maybe if they gave us more Straker being oddball-y and creepy, and he's like, what's going on with this guy? They kind of went the other direction. They kind of just flipped him, which they did a lot back then. I feel like with side characters, we talked about what's his name in Dracula, Renfield. Talk about a flip. I feel like that was a trend in movies, especially back then. I don't dislike the character though. I think he did a fine job. What about you? Is he like a standout for you?
He definitely is. I think that he just the scene when he carries the little boy, like he's in like wrapped up in the bag and he carries him because it's gonna feed it to Barlow. I just think his mannerisms and that fucking smirk on his face, you just want to fucking slap him because he's the evil guy in town. Again, this is the trope of, you can tell he's the creepy evil guy in town who's coming in the creepy house on the top of the hill. He's opening a shop. But I think that the actor actually brought more than what was written on the page, if that makes sense. I think he really does as much as he could with it. And I think that he is not equally as terrifying as Barley, because you can't compare to that face, but he's menacing and he creeps me out. And he does get a kill, and he kills Nor. I like the kill when he puts Nor in on the antlers at the end, because he obviously is, he has some powers because he's pretty menacing and strong in that scene. And I think that just what his dialogue with the kid and Susan, he's just, the way he moves, he's slow. And I don't know, I think he did a great job. I'm a big fan of that character. And again, that's a trope that, a lot of later horror movies, I think, follow with the caretaker of the head vampire.
Yeah.
But I do think this is one of the ones that does it the most successful. And I'll remember this character more than the countless other imitations that came after it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It does. Is he human? Is he a full human?
Is
there debate with that? Was it explained and I just missed it? Because he picks up what's his name pretty easily.
Yeah, I don't think
almost
he's a full
like he's
human.
got. Okay.
I don't think he's a full human, but
yeah, maybe he's like a daywalker or something. Like he's like a hybrid. Yeah. Okay.
So and again, I never wanted to. I'm happy that we didn't get like a straight up answer, because again, to me, mystery is what makes it scary and eerie.
Yeah,
but he's got something going on for sure.
You think
for
so?
Sure,
Yeah.
he's got a little
just the way
going on.
Picked him up like,
because you can tell the way he lifted up and like he's just like, all right, motherfucker, you're going through the wall. But again, like I like shots like this. I like it. And I do want to go back to Tobe Hooper. I do think that whether you guys end up liking the movie or not, you can't deny that it's extremely well directed.
Not my favorite of his.
Really?
So I'm not going to sit here and say extremely well directed. I think some of the cuts were abrupt and,
Well, you have to remember, but there was
I do.
Editing had a lot to do with it.
I do, yeah. So maybe it's a little unfair to him, but, it's a well-made movie. I'll put it at that. Okay. It's not a masterpiece. It's not one of his masterpieces, I think. Really? It's not my favorite of his, but yeah.
Yeah, so I think he staged the set pieces very well. Like just like everything that he put in focus, I think he did a really good job. I'm a big fan of Mark. He's the teenager who ends up being the main character, who with Ben in the finale, I think he gets a smart, when the kid comes to his window, he gets the cross out, he's like, fuck you, go away. I think he always has like tears in his eyes for a lot of the second half of the movie. I think he's just really good facial and emotional acting, and I'm on team him and Ben the whole way through.
I agree. I think he might be, in terms of our townsfolk, he's probably my second favorite behind Ben. I thought the window scene where he rejects the kid,
Danny.
with
That's Danny,
Danny with the cross, I thought was really well done. I thought he did a good job. Of course, the ending. He is very believable, very emotional. You know, his parents are dead. He watched his parents die, and he's trying to get revenge. And can we talk about?
Ballsy. He's ballsy for going to the house at the end, like by himself.
Yeah. Can we talk
Susan.
about the love interest, Susan?
Oh yeah.
I mean, talk about like half-assing it. So she sees him go into the house, and like she takes her sweet ass time through every stage of that chase. Like, are you really trying to catch up to him and stop him, or are you just along for
She's investigating?
Like, come on, you can't catch up to that fucking kid.
She
took her time, man. You have to admit, she took her time getting.
I was never the biggest fan of Susan as a character. I think the actress did a fine job, but she's not my favorite character in the movie. But she serves her. I mean, I know it sounds bad to say, she serves her purpose as the love interest and the female protagonist who's gonna be in the end to investigate. I do like when Stryker he comes upon her after obviously Mark is like thrown on her, and she's just like, she gives that look at him, she's like, oh fucked. And I love how he just tells Mark, he's like, yeah, I took her to Barlow, like she's she's done. So so Susan, she's not my favorite character, but I think the actress did a fine job. I just want to highlight one more time, I think Jeffrey Lewis as Mike, that scene with I think when the whole movie he's very good. I think after he gets bit, that's after the first part ends, when he comes back, he goes into to see Ben. You can tell like his acting is like, oh, I don't feel good, blah blah. But I think when he comes back in the rocking chair, I think that the way he like moves his mouth, and it's like, it always just creeped me the fuck out. He was so good. And then in the end scene when he's crawling towards Mark in the tunnel, I'm like, oh, this guy, like, he went for it. I can definitely tell that Juliette Lewis is his daughter, because she goes for that.
Good
she goes
casting.
Yeah.
Good casting. He was one of the creepier vampires for sure. I mean, he looks like a vampire. They didn't even need to give him prosthetics or anything.
Like the way he was just like with I'm like, oh yeah. And the way he got out of the chair, I'm like, A plus. I'm like, this is why Juliette Lewis goes a little creepy in her movies.
Scene in particular, for sure, when he's in the rocking chair, I could see freaking me out as a kid. Yeah.
I think that scene like was the one that terrified my sister more. Okay. And I was the one with the window who terrified. But they both like, I'm like, they scared the shit out of me. And I do want to bring up the mom. I think the scene, and again, I saw in the trailer that they're gonna try to pay homage to this in the new one, when the mom's dead and Ben goes to see her at the funeral home when she's like covered.
Yes.
And then she slowly gets up. I think that scene, like the tension when she's getting up. It's just, when is she gonna fucking sit up? I think that's done so well. I do like that scene too. And she gets little slashes in her arms, like the green like gook comes out. I think that's a very, very good scene. It also creeped me out.
I'm gonna disagree with you on this scene. This is one of the scenes that kind of emphasizes to me, it felt like I was watching a TV movie in that scene.
Really?
It was I didn't like the score. I feel like the score could have been driven home a little bit more in that scene to kind of build that tension. It kind of had that like TV feel to it. And not that it felt cheap, but it just felt very like I'm watching, NBC or something, like I don't know. There was nothing there for me to grab onto, and because the scene itself is cool, but I think it was the score. I think there were times in this movie where the score could have went a little bit harder and kind of driven home the fact that, holy shit, like shit's about to go down, and this lady's about to get up from the table, and he's about to go face to face with her,
Okay.
Because it's coming, but it just doesn't.
I love how it just waits. When is it going to happen? When's it going to happen? Sorry, guys, my dogs are yelling at Nolan for not liking this movie in the background. If you can hear them, I'm just kidding.
Good
but
boys.
That's funny that you brought that up, because I actually think the score in this movie is another one of its strengths. I just love when even when the boy comes out, it's like dun 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 dun. It's just such a good score. I love the score in this movie. I think it's again one of the vampire scores that stand out to me. So I disagree. I do think that the score really does aid a lot of the scenes in the movie. It doesn't like take over the movie, but I think it does help it, get to that terrifying place.
It's not an over-the-top score, so I think
Right.
for people to really appreciate, at least for me to appreciate a score like that, I have to get comfortable with the movie itself first, if that makes sense. I have to get comfortable rewatching the movie and knowing every part of the movie for me to really focus on that score. And because I've only seen this movie a few times in my entire life, I wasn't able to really appreciate the score, I think, as much as you, because you probably know every scene like the back of your hand.
So
you're able
and
to
when
kinda,
the score starts for me, like my heart starts like beating. So,
I don't
again,
get those. I don't get those
Okay.
layers that you do when watching this
Yeah.
movie because I haven't seen it that many times. So it's
Right,
kind of
right,
tough for
right,
me to
right,
even
right.
talk about the score
Right.
because I really don't even remember key aspects of it.
Do you have a favorite like vampire like scare sequence? Like, what's your favorite one? I know you said you weren't a fan of the window scenes. Is the rocking chair your favorite? Is the climax, the ending when they're in the house your favorite?
The ending is, I mean, that jump scare
That's-
with
that's
Barlow
tension.
at the end. I mean,
That's
that's
tension.
fucking scary.
Yeah.
That's definitely my favorite. Minusing that, I'd probably, probably the rocking chair, just because he kills it, man. He does so well. It's
God,
he's so
fucking
creepy.
good.
He's got
so
such a good
fucking
face for it.
I guess I'm still scared of this movie. It's crazy to me the lasting impact this movie's had on me.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't want to go on forever, but I'm curious now. What do you want them? It sounds like one thing you want them to do, which you can already succeed because of the runtime. You want it trimmed down, obviously.
Well, yeah, but I want that uneasy feeling. I don't know if we're gonna get it, like you said. I want to
Nervous.
feel that because I didn't feel it with the original. So I want them to kind of draw me in, like the original didn't do. So
Okay, that's
I don't
funny
know.
because
I
I
don't
want them to draw. I want them to draw me in like the original did.
like the original
So it's
did. Yeah.
So I'm looking up, and it looks like the new movie is an hour and 53 minutes. So it's
okay.
under 2 hours. It's under
Okay,
2
I mean
hours.
that's a decent chunk. I mean, we're not talking about 90 minutes, so they're gonna get to
right.
hopefully explore the town and get some build up going. It's
hope
it's
so.
all about directing and editing. Most importantly, man, if you get a good editor, I mean, you can tell a story.
I just
a
don't
good
want
story.
cheap scares. I just really don't want cheap. I want to feel.
So your
the
focus
atmosphere.
is on that. You don't want like a funhouse popcorn jump scare. That's your number one priority.
No, I want like I know you feel different, but in my opinion, I want it to feel like the vibe of this where I'm pulled into the town. I just feel this sense of dread and the buildup and the atmosphere. I don't want a nonstop popcorn jump scare fest because to me that's not what Salem's Lot is, and I do have a feeling that that's what they're gonna go for in this new movie. And I could still have fun with it, but it just won't touch. It won't have a lasting impression like the OG. This one, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's interesting because I've seen the trailer and I don't get that sense. I don't think it's going to be a jump scare popcorn movie. It seems like it's going to be an atmospheric, tension building movie. So I hope that's the case.
I really
For
hope
sure.
so, but we'll find out. And again, guys,
Soon
we're
enough,
gonna be watching that movie like the night it premieres and then recording right away. So it's gonna be our honest, like raw reaction.
Yeah.
So I can't wait. But yeah, guys, I mean, overall, this movie is just my vampire movie. It's what I grew up with. It's what when I think of vampires, this is the first movie I think of. I think they're terrifying. I think if you guys want to see like menacing, sinister vampires, this is the movie to go to. Yeah, this movie is just top tier for me because it's what introduced me to horror, really, if you think about it.
I just had this thought. Pretty much every vampire in this movie, besides, the head vampire Barlow, kind of reminds me of a zombie. The way that they're
Really?
infected, they kind of die and then they come back and they're out for blood right away. We don't get a lot of, like so many different interpretations of vampires. You have, they become infected and then they become like part of the clan and they'll become followers of Barlow. It's not like that. Maybe that's a good thing for you, and that's what makes them so creepy is that they kind of awaken and now they're just like out for blood. They're almost like undead in a sense. Does that make sense to you?
It does, but I actually reminded me of something else I wanted to talk about. Thank you. I do like how in the finale they drive a stake through Barlow's heart, like, and they kill him. And in these countless other vampire movies, if you kill the head vampire, the other vampires die. These vampires, the other ones aren't dead. Because at the end of the movie, Mears and Mark, they're fleeing the town because they're like, oh my god, these vampires who didn't die, they're going to come chase us. Which obviously it ends, with them, Susan, finds them because they had the light, like, oh my god, there's a vampire left and they have to kill her. But they know, even after that scene, Ben, he's like grief-stricken because obviously Susan's dead. And he leaves it Mark knowing that there's going to be more vampires, like, continuing to, they say, like, they're going to keep coming. They're going to keep pursuing them. So I think it's fascinating, and I love that just because Barlow's dead doesn't mean that these other vampires from the town aren't going to come out of hiding and try to find them or try to keep going. I love that. I love it.
I appreciate that too. It's a very dark and gloomy ending. There isn't like this big celebration with fireworks when they kill Barlow. It's a very somber. A lot of people died, especially at the end of this movie. So this town is grieving, and not only are they grieving, they still have a pest control problem on their end with these vampires.
yes. The fire only did so much, the fire, I know it said the wind was blowing and that, like, the fire traveled to the town, but these vampires, they're going to come out of hiding. And they're going to either chase Ben and Mark, or they're going to, torment the town. So I like a sadistic, so I like a dark, gloomy ending, and this movie definitely has that, so I do appreciate that. Yeah,
for sure. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so that's, I don't want to keep going, but again, guys, this to me is just like vampire, like top tier A+ vampires, and I'm so excited and nervous to see what this new adaptation does, and I cannot wait to watch it and give you guys my fresh opinion.
I'm really excited too. Watching this original and recording this episode for you has got me hyped for sure. So that's this episode is going to drop on the 2nd.
Yes, the first one of October. Fitting, I love it.
October 2nd, and then October 3rd is when the new one releases, right? So we're going to be recording that night. So that's going to be, that's going to be a doozy. That's going to be fun. And then that's going to release, obviously, the following week will be probably be released on the 9th, Wednesday the 9th. So give you guys a little bit of time. Go check out the original Salem's Lot if you want to.
Definitely.
Whoever's opinion you want to weigh more. We're kind of different on this. And then it gives you a week to check out the new one if you're listening to this episode right away. So, that covers Salem's Lot. Let's get into our never split up moments.
There's so many.
Shall we? Yeah. Why don't you go first? Because I believe you won the last poll that we ran. We kind of ran 2 polls, and I believe you came out on top for Late Night with the Devil and Immaculate. So again, thank you to everyone who voted. But why don't you go first? And I'm sure you have a lot of them. I'm sure
there's so
you have
many.
the advantage because you have this whole movie on lock. I'm gonna have to rack my brain for one, but I'm glad you're going first because it'll give me an extra minute to think of one.
There's so many because it's just like people like, what are you doing? Stop walking towards this shit. But I have to go with Danny opening the window for his brother, like letting him literally fucking just take a fucking chunk. He doesn't even open the window like he sees him the first night. He opens the window and the brother, I think his name is Henry, doesn't bite him the first night. He just kind of like shows up and scares him and torments him. But then when he's in the hospital, he comes back and he opens the window again, and that's what leads to his death. So I'm like, dude, don't let him in. Don't let him in.
Yeah.
So that's that, and again, that sequence is what like kept me up that night as a kid. So that has to be mine.
Obviously, there's an in-universe explanation, right? Because he's kind of being hypnotized.
Yes.
But that is the epitome of why we created this segment.
Exactly.
As a little kid, I can just picture little Antipuzzo yelling at the TV, screaming like, "Don't open the window!"
I'm doing
please,
like this too,
please,
like half my eyes like covered. I'm like, "Don't do it, don't do it." But you brought that up because a part of the movie too, which I like, is that they keep saying, "Don't look them in the eyes." And I think because once you look at the eyes, that's when they get some control over you. So you're correct in that. But yeah, that will always get me. That always.
Unless you're, what's his name? The school teacher, the old guy. That's my boy. That's my homie. What's his name? We didn't talk about him that much. He's awesome. He's one of my favorite characters. He's great. What a hero.
A great character.
I was rooting for him so badly, and I'm like, please don't have a heart attack. come on, reach the phone. Come on, man.
I know.
Because
That
he
scene.
fends off the vampire, man. It's awesome.
He does.
He
with the
knocks it
cross.
out the window. Yeah.
And talking
what's
about
his name?
suspense, that's a good suspenseful scene right there. I can't think of the name off the top of my head,
Yeah.
but he killed it in that scene too. I felt like, oh my god, he's actually having a heart attack. That's
He's
how good
great.
he was.
He was great. He was a standout for me, for sure. Okay, I'm going to go with the moment that stuck out to me the most was at the end. I'm going to go with Dr. Norton, man. Talk about another typical
dude,
never
that was so
split up
good.
moment.
They split up.
Going up the stairs, dude. What are you doing? Leaving the main protagonist of the film. You have to know that he's the main protagonist and stick with him. I mean, these are rules to horror
He
movies.
walks towards danger.
Yeah. He walks towards it. He splits up, and as soon as he goes up the stairs, you know he's pretty much a goner. And that's a pretty memorable scene when he gets kind of impaled by those horns, those
It's
animal
iconic.
horns. Yeah, so
That's
I'm
been
going to go with
homaged, too.
and he was a cool character too. You liked him, you know. He was very I would say fair to Ben because you know he was dating his daughter. He was a typical father, you know. Didn't believe Ben at first, but kind of got on board once there was evidence. So he was a pretty reasonable character and someone you wanted to root for. So that was a big moment for me that I recognized right away. I'm like, damn, if that's available, I'm going to pick that as my never split up because. Damn, I mean, such a capable character too. I mean, he's a doctor. What are you doing, man? Why are you going up those stairs? You know,
Dude, these are two like classic trope never split up moments. How do you not appreciate this movie? Like this is bringing the goods with the never split up moments. Oh, I fucking love
really
it. That's
is,
a good pick.
yeah.
That's a great pick.
yeah, it really is. Okay, cool. Let's get into our scores. I'll let you choose. So again, you won the polls, so usually you get to choose who goes first.
I'll go first because I'm open book with this movie. I will admit, I mean, I do feel what Nolan said in a couple scenes. I feel like, you know, let's pick up the pace in a couple scenes, but that's really my only gripe is that a couple scenes I think maybe like linger too long and they're maybe a tiny bit slow paced. But again, my pro is that the movie is so slow paced. But I'll say that maybe a couple scenes I'm like, all right, let's wrap this up and like get to the next part. Let's get back to Ben and let's get back to the happenings of the town. So I'll agree. That's like my nitpick of the movie is like there's a couple scenes where it's like, all right, we gotta fill this 2 slots of a night for the TV event. So that's my nitpick. But overall,
Yes, we got a nitpick from you. Great.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I mean, yeah, no movie, every movie can have it, but yeah, overall, this is my vampire movie that I will always go to. It's my favorite one. It terrifies me to this day. It terrified me as a little boy. I think the directing is awesome. I think the vampire acting and the mannerisms, it's what I want in a horror movie about vampires. This is the kind of vampires I want. I want them to be scary. I want them to be, and we didn't talk about, they each also have their own feel. It's not like they're all like a herd mentality. They all can put their like spin on the whether it's the mannerisms or the scare scene alone or whatever. It's just, you know, one's a little boy, one's a guy who works in a graveyard, one's a mom. It just there's a lot of different characters that become vampires, and I think each actor brings a unique spin to it. So I appreciate that. And Barlow is, if you guys want to watch our classic villains episode, he was in my top 10. So he also had.
I forgot to ask you, where was he in your top 10? He made the cut. I couldn't remember.
He was in my top 5 or like number 6. He might have been. He was really close to my top 5. He was in. I think he was number 6. I think he was around number 6. Guys, check out that episode and you let us know what number he was. But yeah, he was in the top 10. So he has a lasting impression. I mean, I have the whole half of my arm is a tattoo of this movie, so it's up there for me. Yeah, it's my favorite vampire movie of all time. It's the second horror movie I've ever seen. It's an all-timer for me. So I'm not going to give it a 10 because I know it has a little bit of quirks that need to be worked out, but it's a 9.7 for me. It's fucking up there. I'll never stop watching it. I mean, it means so much to my family and myself, so it's a big one. It's a biggie. I love it. 9.7.
Your parents, are they a fan?
Oh my god.
Your whole
obsessed.
family?
Oh yeah,
okay.
We're big Salem. A lot of people over here.
Awesome. So I want to run an idea by you because we really didn't touch on this, but I would love to do an episode where we either rank our favorite vampire movies or we rank our favorite vampire characters because it sounds like we have very different taste. You've mentioned a couple times that this is how you like your vampires, very creepy, very ghoulish, very dark and sinister. I actually prefer the other version of vampires where they're kind of like maniacal and, smart and intelligence, kind of like, a Bram Stoker's Dracula in a way. I like that type of vampire a little bit more. So I think it would be interesting for us to do an episode on vampires in general, and we can discuss that further.
I just wrote that down. We should do a ranking of like vampires or vampire movies, John, because I also believe, another shout out to our episode 30 Days a Night, we also have different opinions on that, and that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Because I also prefer that one more than you, and that's another when the vampires are sinister and dark. So there's a trend here. So I think we should do that, because that's funny now. I should have known a little bit going into this, but yeah, we should do it.
Yeah, okay, cool. But yeah, just to wrap up my overall thoughts, I'm not going to sit here and say that this isn't a well-made movie. This just isn't my cup of tea. That's all it comes down to. It's a 3-hour long movie that I don't see myself rewatching in the near future. It's not very rewatchable for me, but I have to appreciate, what it does do right. I mean, it has one of it wasn't in my top 10, but it has one of the most iconic villains. Even though he has very little screen time, I wish he was kind of felt a little bit more throughout the movie, because I loved him so much. I wanted to see, more of him, or at least feel more of him, because I'm also a subscriber of less is more. I don't need everything in plain sight, for sure. But, I just feel like it didn't hit the mark with me. And again, it's just not my cup of tea. So I'm going to kind of go right in the middle between, great and not so great. I'm going to give it a 7 overall.
Okay, good. Okay, I thought you were going
to
no. Below 7.
A 7, because, I don't, sit there and watch this movie and say, this movie fucking sucks. I understand, and I appreciate the filmmaking that went involved. So, yeah, a 7. I'll be generous.
You're giving all my all-timers 7s. I think you gave Scream 2 a 7 as well.
Did I give it a 7 flat? Yeah.
I think you might. So it was. Funny. I don't know if it was a little. I think it was a 7 flat, actually.
It might have been. Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah.
Well, all right. I'll take 7. You appreciate it. You know what it did, and you know what it is. It's not a shitty movie. It's All right. Cool.
Okay.
All right, cool.
That wraps up episode 56. Thanks, guys, for listening. I had a fun time talking about this movie with you, and I always love when we disagree and we can kind of have a healthy discussion, and I can kind of see your point of view, and you see my point of view. That those are always some of my favorite episodes.
For sure.
Next week is a big one.
This is going to be so fascinating, because
it's going to be
we're going to have different opinions. I have a feeling
it's going to be a first for this podcast, because we've never done a raw first reaction together before. So I'm really looking forward to that
and we've also never covered original and new adaptation / remake back to back. This is going to be very this is going to be different. It's going to be cool. I'm so excited.
Is this our first remake that we're covering?
Yeah, we haven't covered.
No, we haven't. We covered Black Christmas.
We did. Which was, guys.
Nobody watched it, but we covered it. Didn't do
that's
great.
Another all-timer for me. It's a fucking blast. So
go listen to our Black Christmas episodes. Actually, all of our Christmas episodes I really adore. So when it gets closer to Christmas season, everyone go listen to those episodes.
Do. And that's funny, because that
favorites.
That's the movie that I appreciated, was so different from the original, because you have two completely different tones. So we'll see. We'll see.
Maybe this one will come around. For you in years to come. But for now, that's it, guys. Thanks so much for listening and watching. Follow us on X and Instagram. We're also on Facebook. We're at neversplituppod, and you can vote in our polls there and just kind of talk with us and tell us what you think about the movie and all that stuff. We'd love to hear from you.
Subscribe to our YouTube, please, guys. We're really trying to build that up.
Yes, we've gotten some subscribers since we've been back from our little hiatus, so welcome to our new subscribers. And subscribe to the YouTube. But for now, we'll see you guys next week for Salem's Lot 2024. It's the Never Split Up podcast. Bye.